and leave them until they're cold. And then you've got these. By the way, it's a bit cool cooking. Yeah. Cooking is all about how it tastes, how it feels, how it smells. So just give this a stir until it's all melted. Keep stirring so it doesn't catch the bottom of. If the mixture comes straight off the bowl, then you've creamed it. If it doesn't, stir it. Just like that. Perfect. Hello, I'm Beverley-glock. Welcome to Christmas. Today, mince pies. We're going to use my gorgeous pink Magimix lipstick to go with it, just to make sure that we match perfectly. We're going to make some sweet shortcrust pastry. We're going to make the mincemeat to go in. Now, I'm a great believer that if you're desperately short of time, buy your pastry, make your mincemeat. Your homemade mincemeat will make just a world of difference. And this one doesn't involve any cooking at all. Doesn't keep as long, and you do need to keep it in the fridge, but it's fab. And some macaroon topping to go on top of the mince pies. So let's get cracking. First of all, I've got the big blade in here, 200 grams of plain flour, 50 grams of fat, so white vegetable fat or lard. Trex is a good one, you know, if you're vegetarian, and 50 grams of hard butter. If you don't have a Magimix, and this is a great way, get the children involved. They're wonderful at rubbing in. And it gets them away from the TV as well. Now that, just pop that in there, put the lid on, and pulse until it resembles breadcrumbs. It should look like fine breadcrumbs, then it's ready. If you're making a savoury pastry, then you don't add the sugar. We're going to make sweet shortcrust pastry. So into there, I'm going to add 25 grams of caster sugar. Give that a quick pulse just to mix it in. The whole trick with making really good homemade pastry is to make sure that your ingredients are as cold as possible. Therefore, if you've got hot hands, using a food processor is an absolute lifesaver. Now, my water needs to be very, very cold. I need to add in around about 3 tablespoons of water to this. Just process until it forms a ball of dough. Once it starts to come together like that, it's done. All you need to take out your pastry. It's lovely and soft. Pop it in the cling film and then just pop it in the fridge for half an hour or so. It'll just give you time to make the topping and the mincemeat. So in my bowl, I've got 200 grams each of sultanas, raisins and currants, and 100 grams of mixed peel. To that, I'm going to add the zest of a lemon and an orange. When you zest an orange, zest means just the very, very outside part of the skin. And 1 brownie apple, baking apple, and just give this a quick wash. I'm just going to slice this either side of the core. I'm not going to bother peeling it, and this I'm going to grate. Oh wow, how easy was that? Beautifully grated apple. Fresh smell, that just smells gorgeous. So that's going to go in the bowl as well. And just get your hands in and give it a really good mix up. So 150 grams of either light brown soft sugar or light muscovado sugar. Spices I'm going to add is 1 teaspoon of ground ginger and 1 teaspoon of ground mixed spice. 3 tablespoons of brandy, good old-fashioned cooking brandy, the cheapest one you can get. This is really cool, it's got 2 cones, it's got a big one, a little one. So you've got the choice of which size fruit. I'm going to use the little one. Oh, that smells gorgeous. There you go, instant mincemeat. Now, because it's got no fat in it, you are going to need to keep that in the fridge. So transfer it to some sterilised bottles or jars with a screw top, keep it in the fridge, use it within a week or 2. It's not a great one for giving for Christmas, but if you want to make it to make loads of mince pies, then it's fab. Mince pies will freeze really well in it as well. Call this designer mincemeat because you can design your own mincemeat. You could put chopped pecans in here. That'd be lovely. You could use rum instead of brandy. You could use whiskey. You could use Grand Marnier. You could add just orange juice and orange zest in there. So you could do like a cranberry and orange mincemeat. Oh, you can design your own mincemeat. So for the macaroon topping, 2 egg whites. I've got my egg whisk on my Magimix. Got my egg whites in. So how do you know when your egg whites are done? Do not try this at home unless you have the full permission of the person whose kitchen it is, or the person whose head you're going to tip that over. it shouldn't move. The trick with this is to make sure it's not going to move, because then if you turn it upside down, it doesn't come out. Add the sugar slowly through the feeding bowl. 100 grams of ground almonds. Add that to your meringue mixture and gradually mix it. Now's the time to start rolling out the pastry that we put in the fridge earlier. You've got this gorgeous pastry. You want to make sure that you're not going to add any more flour to this, because it'll just dry out. And the trick with that is when you're rolling out, either roll it between 2 sheets of cling film or a couple of sheets of baking parchment. This way you don't have to add any extra flour to stop it sticking to your rolling pin. If you don't have a rolling pin, that is no excuse for not making your own pastry. Just use your cling film. Works just as well. You don't create a real mess on your worktop or your table. Magic! We need 12 discs, which are going to be the base for the mince pies. If you find as well that your pastry bottoms are a little bit too small, then just use your fingers and stretch the pastry out a bit. If it tears, don't worry about it, just put a little lump of pastry in to cover where the tear is. Tablespoon of your fridge mincemeat into each one. Feeling very self-righteous because there's no fat in there. There's fat in the pastry, so you'll not be too self-righteous, but there's no fat in your mincemeat. Or you can put a spoonful of the macaroon mix. Just make sure that comes right to the edges. So you need to preheat your oven to about 190 degrees, gas mark 6. If you're doing it in an Aga, roasting oven, and the tin goes straight on the oven floor of the roasting oven, and they will take around about 20 minutes in a normal oven. In an Aga you're looking at maybe 15 to 20, just keep an eye on them. The pastry should be golden brown and crunchy, and the top should be golden as well.
So we're going to give some of those to Santa Claus?
No, they won't last that long. So after making 2 batches of mince pies, this is how much mincemeat I've got left over. Now that will last up to a week in the fridge, but in order to give it a bit of a longer shelf life, I'm just going to pour over 60 grams of melted butter and stir that round, and that will help preserve it. And then once I transfer it to my sterilised jam jars, it still needs to go in the fridge, but it will last in the fridge for up to about a month.